Welcome into this week's episode of the Show Before the Show podcast, the one and only, first, long time, always official podcast of minor league baseball. My name is Tyler Mon, Samuel C. Dykstra, and Benjamin, I don't know his middle initial, Hill, or in New York City. Ben, what is your middle initial?
G, Gregory.
G. B-G-H.
G for Gregory.
I like it.
Yeah, my dad is Greg, although his middle name is actually Gregory. He's James Gregory. But
that's how my father-in-law is.
Yeah, but his father was named James Gregory as well, so he always went by Gregory as a kid. So my dad is known as Greg, but it's technically his middle name. It's my middle name too.
Okay.
Fascinating story of middle names here.
BGH.
Do all your brothers have the middle name Gregory?
No. They have different middle names. I'm the Gregory around these parts.
I like it. Well, now we're learning things about each other as we kick off this week's episode of the Show Before the Show podcast, and we welcome you in our final one in the month of January as we get closer and closer to the start of spring training in 2026. We've already got teams extending non-roster invitations and all the rest. Very fun stuff. Getting ready, and man, am I ready for the start to this 2026 season. Fellas, we are that close, and it's kind of funny because it feels like we sort of limp through the off season and we get close, and then middle of February everything hits all at once, but we are still in off-season mode, and with that, some fun things that we get to talk about as we kick off this week's episode, and we thank you for joining us. You can, of course, as always, get in touch with us, podcast at MILB.com. We got some really great emails into the old inbox as of the last several episodes of the Show Before the Show. But we are going to kick things off this week with, as always, Ben's Biz Banter, presented by Circle K, the official convenience store of minor league baseball, and it feels like an annual rite of passage that every offseason we get to head to the AA Eastern League and catch up with the Akron Rubber Ducks, the AA affiliate of the Cleveland Guardians, who are always coming out with some sort of new food-related identity that establishes either a food thing that I have never known about, but very much want to try, or a food thing that originated in that area that I never knew was from that area, and either want to try or already love. And that is sort of the case here in 2026 as the Akron Rubber Ducks will take the field June 19th and 20th this year, Ben, as the Chip Dippers, the Akron Chip Dippers, which is a tribute to one of my favorite types of dips. I'm a big dip guy, French onion dip, but not just French onion dip, a specific brand of French onion dip. Nobody goes as deep into their culinary regional history as the Akron Rubber Ducks.
Yeah, that's right. And I think part of it is that Jim Fander, who we'll hear from in just a moment, the president of the Rubber Ducks, is an Akron guy. So I think he's able to lead the charge with a lifelong history of Akron food history. A point he made when I talked to him earlier this week for a little story on the Chip Dippers was that the team is the Rubber Ducks. They're the Rubber Ducks because Akron was the rubber capital of the world, and there was a lot of tires made there, and there's still to some extent today, but not like it was. So there was a lot of people who came from all over the world to Akron, particularly in the early part of the 20th century. So a lot of their food traditions come from the melting pot that Akron became in the wake of the rubber industry establishing its dominance there. And in particular, perhaps a lot of Eastern European tradition. But in recent years, they've done the JoJo's, which I remember talking about with you guys on this show. They're like basically potato wedges, but in Akron, they're JoJo's. The sauerkraut balls, which they announced on New Year's Day, because it's a New Year's Day tradition in Akron to eat some sauerkraut balls. The cheese salads, which is basically self-explanatory, but Akron's known for putting a lot of cheese on their salads. The Barberton, chicken and rice, honoring a famous chicken and rice preparation in the nearby town of Barberton, and so on and so forth. Chip Dippers pays homage to French onion dip in general, but specifically Lawson's brand chip and dip, which was a Akron area chain of convenience stores, Lawson's Dairy, and they sold this iconic in the Northeast Ohio area French onion dip. So the color scheme of the Chip Dippers logo with like purple, blue, and black is modeled after the Lawson's container. Lawson's, the convenience store, was eventually sold and then kind of sold again. But it's now Circle K, the sponsor of this segment, Ben's Biz Banter.
It all comes, if you will, Full
Yeah.
Circle K.
Yeah, and we're not covering this as a favor to Circle K, but they are the ones who now sell Lawson's chip dip in the Akron area. And that's another thing in talking to Jim, I realized they call it chip dip. It's not like, let's get some chips and dip. They just call it, or they don't just call it dip, it's chip dip. Let's get some chip dip. And Lawson's chip dip is king. And that's what they're paying homage to. And as it would stand and as we would have it, I have an interview or a portion of my interview to share with Jim Fander to just hear him straight from the source talk a little bit about the Akron Chip Dippers identity. So not a full segment, but a little clip of that interview to fill you in a little bit more, because I know people out there are clamoring to learn more about the Akron Chip Dippers, which features a logo of an anthropomorphic container of dip dipping a chip into its own head. Food for thought has been my long-running joke. I've said it in 4 occasions now, so I'm tired of it. But food for thought. Getty's dipping a chip into his own brain. Anyway, let's hear from Jim Fander for a moment.
What about Akron, Ohio, or Northeast Ohio makes chip and dip something unique to the region and not just something everybody knows?
Well, you think of any party, any event, everyone's going to bring chip dip. And what's interesting in Akron is that there was a company called Lawson's, and Lawson's made Lawson's chip dip. That was kind of like what put us on the map. It was invented in Cuyahoga Falls, which is a suburb of Akron, and everyone had a local convenience store, in their neighborhood where they would go and attend, and they would stop by, grab their Lawson's chip dip, and for every family picnic and family outing, and or just going to the pool on a hot summer day, and we're going to grab some chips and dip, and that was it's just kind of part of the culture. The company went out of business probably in the early 90s. I mean, it hasn't been around for a long time. Sold to Dairy Mart. Now it's probably part of some of the other local convenience store chains. Circle K, I think, is the one that kind of taken that over. What's really interesting is that the brand, not once it left the United States, it blew up in Japan. There is a huge Lawson's chip dip brand, Lawson's everything out there, and I don't know, I don't quite understand it, but it started here. It started in Akron, and so every time somebody has an event, they're going to get their chip dip, and chip dip is just such a big part of families gathering together that we wanted to celebrate it. So for 2 nights this year in June, we're going to become the Chip Dippers, and we're going to celebrate it with a full TNC rebrand.
Yeah, and I guess everybody knows chips and dip, but I've noticed you've been saying chip dip. Is that the what it's not like let's get chips and dip, it's chip dip. Hmm.
Well, so it's chip dip. That's kind of what it's called. But yes, but
Yeah.
I guess the act of dipping chips would be the chip dippers. So we wanted to come up with some way to kind of like nod of the cap, to that brand, but also to all the chip dips because it is part of gatherings.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're obviously well into the alternate identity era of minor league baseball. We've seen so many weird stuff, so many weird logos. I think this one jumped out a little bit. We were looking at it in the office and we're like, so this is a container of dip, essentially dipping a chip into its own head, into its own brain. How are you describing and contextualizing the visuals here?
Well, it's a lot of cannibalism that goes on with food, right? It's really kind of fun. I mean, heck, a couple of years ago we did barbecue, fried chicken, and hot rice, and we had a chicken swinging a leg of chicken, which is probably wrong in many levels as well. But I think it's all part of the fun, and that's what makes minor league baseball so great is that we can take these identities and we can take these cultural icons and bring them to life. And when we were kind of dreaming up the design with Brandy Oast, we said, hey, we want something fun and whimsical, and they came back to us and said, hey, what do you think about this? And our immediate reaction is what you just said. Is that kind of weird that he's dipping the chip into the top of his head and then eating it? But
Yeah.
that's what it's all about. It's about fun. So if you could take something iconic and memorable like chip dip and Lawson's chip dip and bring it to life and have and just have some fun with it, have some whimsical. I think that's what minor league baseball and this our Only in Akron series is all about.
That is June 19th and 20th when the Akron Chip Dippers take the field. I now I just really it's not even 10:30 in the morning here, and now I would really like to try this specific brand of chip dip Lawson's because I've never had, out here we just you buy like a packet of dried French onion soup. You mix that into like a thing of sour cream and it's incredible. But now I want to try like the actual Lawson's brand chip dip.
Yeah, Jim Fander told me that they will be having a find Akron's best dip competition, having people take blind dip taste tests. And in my extensive research for this article, I found a local newspaper article. I believe it's the Akron Beacon Journal, but they did that in their newsroom. And essentially nobody, and it was a lot of, Akron natives, had a lot of trouble determining for sure which one was Lawson's. And
Oh,
I
interesting.
think Lawson's might have more of the nostalgic connection as opposed to such a distinct taste that people can just tell it right off the bat. But I don't know. Everyone's mileage may vary, but I feel like that happens a lot. You grow up with something being like, that's my brand, that's my thing, that reminds me of childhood. But when it comes to a blind taste test, all bets are off.
I would love to do that on the podcast. I think that's just terrible audio content of us just smacking.
Yeah.
Can you hear the dip go or the chip going into the dip? And here I am enjoying test number one. Everybody just chew on that in their ears for a little bit.
But if you'd like us to do a blind dip taste testing on this podcast,
We'll find ways to make it
Yeah.
work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Send us stuff and we'll find a way to do it.
We won't turn it down for sure. So that's what's coming up in Akron, fun stuff. And it sort of leads us into the next point of conversation, which is, Ben, your promo schedule overview is coming out soon. And obviously this is a, kind of a always growing segment throughout the entire season. We've got teams that sometimes will announce additional promos during the season and all the rest, but teams are releasing promo schedules and you're collecting some of the best and most notable for 2026. Give us a preview.
Yeah, well, this is something I'll be doing basically from here on out up till opening day. I do it every year. Make my own spreadsheet of promos to pay attention to. We talk about the alternate identities a lot because they have a distinct visual and story behind them, but a lot of the more random ones, there's not much you can do until it gets to that date, and then maybe check in with the team like, hey, what do you have planned for this? And I have only 3 teams logged in my spreadsheet so far. There have been more that have announced recently. It's a rolling process. Minor League Baseball doesn't have some industry-wide promo calendar release day. So some are already out. Some will be out in the next couple of weeks. Some will be out in the next couple of months. Some, and I'm not going to mention any names, don't really seem to release one at all. I'm always a little baffled when it's like the day before opening day and these teams just don't have promo schedules, but to each their own. But what do we got so far? We got the Fresno Grizzlies were one of the first teams to come up with a promo schedule. Just throwing random ones out there. I won't go in detail because I don't know much about them, but an adult homecoming on April 23rd. So you missed your chance as a teenager. You can go to adult homecoming night. I didn't go to any homecoming dance. I didn't talk to girls when I was a teenager. Or in a lot
Sam, did you not either? You gave a shake like no.
We didn't have homecoming.
Really?
I don't know that as a concept other than seeing it in like nostalgic high school movies about
No
the 50s,
way.
Grease style movies. But yeah,
Interesting.
homecoming was not a thing for us.
Well,
Did you have a
I can
football
go to
team?
Fresno.
Yeah.
I will fly
you and your
to the
girlfriend
complete
go
other
to-
coast,
Yeah,
and we will go to Fresno to find out what the hell this is about.
yeah. They've got
Kind of
tacos.
weirdos. Did you have a football? Wait, did you have a football team, Sam, at your high school?
Yes, we had. Yes,
but you
we
had
a
no.
football
But you
team.
had no homecoming. Interesting.
We had like rivalry week. Our rival
Huh.
was Ware High School.
Was there a
Uh,
dance associated with rivalry week?
I think we called it Fall Fling, maybe. But I
Okay.
don't think,
Okay. So
I don't remember there
similar
being like
a similar-
that tied up with the Ware game.
thought process. Yeah. Okay. I got you. Interesting. Huh. Okay. Anyway, that's neither here nor there, but I had to dive into that.
Well, see, just one promo has
That's a go.
launched us in.
Yeah, this segment might turn out to be hours long, actually. Last year the Grizzlies did Taco Night 10, celebrating 10 years of the first ever food-based alternate identity in minor league baseball. Now they're up to year 11 of being the Tacos. That's on April 24th. I believe they're just doing it that one night. May 30th, the Grizzlies have Ryan Meetup Night, which I assume is just what it sounds like. If your name is Ryan, you can go to the ballpark and try to meet other Ryans. 6-7 night on 6-7. I mean, I feel like that's the
Oh
kids have moved
man,
on
yeah,
to other
that's going to be
things.
everywhere.
What's going to be the status of 6-7?
Yeah, I think it's
like,
Yeah,
already
that's
pretty
true.
much dead.
yeah.
But I appreciate it. They got the 6-7. They have a Fresno famous night. I feel like teams have done this kind of thing before. I always like this idea, but like, let's determine the most famous person in Fresno. I think they're gonna have a fan vote and then give a bobblehead at the end of the season in honor and on Fresno famous night. I like those kind of promos. So I'm gonna do that. I want to give a shout out moving back across the country to the Northeast, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Keystone State's capital city. They've got a lot of goofy theme nights, and as longtime listeners of this podcast know, I'm always advocating for more one-off, just for the heck of it, theme nights. Harrisburg Senators have 80s and Aspen theme night on April 11th. Just dress stylishly as if you were at a upscale ski resort in the 1980s. I mean,
Interesting.
why not? A wacky prom. I don't know what's going to make this prom wacky, but
What about prom, Sam? Did you have prom?
Yes, we went.
Okay.
We went to prom.
I'm just checking. I'm just asking questions, as they say.
Yeah, so you don't have to. You go to the Fresno Grizzlies homecoming, but don't have to go to the
I don't
wacky
have to.
prom.
No.
And
I went to 2 proms. I don't need to go to one.
How about Harrisburg Senators on June 2nd? I love my dentist night with a Robert Hassel III toothbrush holder.
Interesting.
Did a dentist make them do that?
I don't even.
He's got teeth.
He does have teeth, and I'm sure he's been to a dentist.
That's what do you need
No,
anything
I
on?
don't think it needs anything more than that. It's just like I'm trying to think if there's some connection with him.
Yeah,
and
the
if there
connection
is,
of
I mean,
that seems interesting.
I mean, I would love to get his thought process on that. Of like, hey man, we're giving out a bobblehead of yours. Great. It just happens to be tied with bring your dentist. Like, do you have to? Again, we're careening off in another direction. Do you have to bring your dentist to the ballpark?
I mean, I think they would welcome it if you invited your dentist. I assume the team will be bringing out dentists to the ballpark.
Yeah.
I assume they'll be reaching out. I don't know. That's what I like about promos. Like, even if it's not something we can write about now, when time allows, checking in, getting some details. Because what does it entail when you say I love my dentist at a minor league ballpark? And how are they going to really activate that? We'll find out, and get in line early for that Robert Hassel III toothbrush holder. Just 2 days after that, on June 4th, Ridiculous Records Night. You know, that could go 2 ways. I have a lot of ridiculous records in my collection, but I think that means they're going to be trying to break all sorts of ridiculous records. And I'm always a fan of teams doing that. Just you go to the ballpark, you're maybe not at the game because of this promo, but then all of a sudden you're in they're handing out kazoos and you're trying to be the largest group of people to ever play Yankee Doodle Dandy on the kazoo or something like that. You know, it's endless what you could do.
I do like your first idea though. Like every player that night has to bring in their own album.
I would
that's
love
their
that.
walk-up music is like, make sure you drop the needle at this specific spot. And if you miss it, you miss it because it's a record player and it's not
I would love that. But how many of today's players,
I was going to
that's the
say,
challenge.
I don't even know if they know what an album is or dropping the needle. I don't know how many players have.
It's an educational moment for
concept of
today's
that.
youth.
Yeah. Hey, vinyl's not dying. It's on the upswing, as we all know. And June 19th in Harrisburg, just one of those pack it all in on the promo schedule. June 19th is Juneteenth, so they're recognizing that. It's also Gorgeous Grandma Appreciation Night and Old Timey Night, and they're shooting off fireworks. So,
Wow,
something for everyone. I
got a
guess.
lot.
Are they just going for a lot of alliteration this year? They've got Gorgeous Grandma, Ridiculous Records.
Yeah, I mean,
anything else that we're missing on
that's
this?
all I see. Oh, and the Fast and Furious Wiener Dog race. I skipped over that one.
Oh, of
but
course.
That's,
Well, how
on
could
April 8th.
you?
Also, Harrisburg on August 12th has Middle Child Appreciation Night. And I remember, I've been doing this too long, writing an article about a growing wave of middle child appreciation nights over 10 years ago. Hopefully I can dig this up. Hopefully it still is online somewhere. But there was a guy who started a middle child society, and he was the one advocating for these middle child appreciation nights. And I talked to this guy who was like the head of the Middle Child Appreciation Society. And it was kind of tongue in cheek, but he'd started this whole organization and was advocating on middle children behalf. And I was glad to see, I haven't seen one of those in the minors for a long time, so don't know what inspired Harrisburg to do it. I'll have to look to see if the Appreciation Society is still out there, but middle children do kind of get a short shrift. They're literally stuck in the middle and don't get enough love and respect. So August 12th in Harrisburg.
Yeah, we have no middle children on this show.
Yeah, we
No,
don't.
I'm the oldest of three. What, you're the oldest of two?
I'm the oldest of two, and Tyler,
Okay.
you're
I'm the youngest
youngest.
of two.
Yeah.
The younger of two.
So, yeah, so we can't relate.
youngest.
Youngest.
Cling
I
to
guess.
youngest as long as you can.
Yeah, that is true. Those days are few and far between now.
Yeah.
That is true. It's a good point.
And what else do we got? Not too much. I want to note this one, Columbus Clingstones on August 1st, the celebration of 100 years of baseball in Columbus, because even though the Columbus Clingstones played their inaugural season last year at Synovus Park, that is a renovated ballpark that used to be called Golden Park, and that opened in 1926. So pretty cool that a team in its second season of existence can also celebrate 100 years of professional baseball that was almost entirely played in that ballpark, Golden Park. And so a huge history at that ballpark. So, and that was one thing I was thinking when I visited last year. It was a new ballpark. They had some historical stuff around, but I felt like you guys could build this out a little bit more, celebrating 100 years of baseball history, all the Hall of Famers who played there. So I think this year in the centennial year, hopefully Columbus will lean into that a little bit more now that they're past the inaugural season of being fresh and new. Now they can, have a best of both worlds. And want to note that the Albuquerque Isotopes are doing green chili cheeseburgers again with 2 green chili cheeseburgers night. That's a long-running alternate identity. And green chilies, you can put them on anything, basically, and when you're down in the Southwest and in Albuquerque. And certainly the only minor league ballpark I've ever visited that has green chilies at the concession bar, next to ketchup and mustard, just green chilies right there. So glad that that's still been a success for them, and they're still celebrating the green chili cheeseburgers. So that was just mentioning 3 or 4 teams. There's 120 teams. I'll keep you guys updated as we go along, and it's fun to talk about.
I think we've opened up a new subgenre of theme night or promotional nights, which is just have a title and let us debate what the heck that means.
Yeah, what is it?
Ooh, that sounds fun.
That's going to draw people to the ballpark in a way, and it's going to get
Yeah.
coverage from us and wider. It was just like, what do you mean by this? Well, you got to show up on April 19th to find out.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Teams vary wildly with their promo schedules. Some you will see a full paragraph write up of every single promo that really contextualizes it. Sometimes they have photos if applicable, and other teams just have like one line, or their description will be like, come to the ballpark for whatever the title of the promo is. And I'm like, okay. Sometimes I have time to reach out, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm kind of like, now that I'm an old grizzled veteran, I'm like, well, if you aren't telling the people, then I guess the people won't know until they get to the ballpark. Maybe the element of surprise works, but I am obviously an advocate of flesh those things out, really tell the people what you're going to be doing. And then old Ben's Biz might get in touch based on your description and blow it out nationwide, as I've been doing for so many years, these many years.
That is some good stuff. And of course, we'll be keeping up with all of it throughout the rest of the offseason over the next couple of months and on into the 2026 campaign. And Ben, we've got a cool conversation coming up this week. Give us the preview. This is going to be a fun one.
Yeah, I'll try not to talk too much here because in the beginning of the interview, I really get into the specifics of this event. It's a little convoluted to start things off explaining what it is. But this is about the Global Baseball Series hosted by the Rocket City Trash Pandas at the end of March and the first day of April 1st, right before the season starts. And the global or international component is that the Toyota Red Cruisers, a Japanese industrial league team, will be visiting Toyota Field, home of the Trash Pandas, to play some games. Obviously, there's some synergy there between the Trash Pandas playing at Toyota Field and Toyota's Japanese company team coming to play games there. And this was all initially conceived by a guy named Morris Morioka, who was a native of Japan and was able to draw on contacts within Japan to help make this a reality. And Morris has an interesting career story himself, how he became, working as in the world of promotions and entertainment in minor league baseball in Alabama as a native of Japan. So we get into that a little bit about that as well. So here is Morris Morioka with the Rocket City Trash Pandas talking about the Global Baseball Series coming at the end of March to Toyota Field, home of the Rocket City Trash Pandas.
From March 30th through April 1st at Toyota Field, the home of the Rocket City Trash Pandas, Double-A affiliate of the Angels, they will be hosting the Global Baseball Series, a cultural exchange event featuring the Trash Pandas, local colleges, Alabama A&M and the University of Alabama Huntsville, and the Toyota Red Cruisers, a team of full-time athlete employees from the Toyota Motor Corporation of Japan. So a lot going on right there. A unique event in the world of minor league baseball and in baseball writ large. I've never heard of something like this. A lot of moving parts, and it'll be interesting to see players from Japan who work for a company team playing against pretty high level competition in the United States of America at a minor league stadium. So let's get into it, find out more about this event. And to tell me about it, we have Morris Morioka, the Senior Manager of Promotions and Entertainment for the Rocket City Trash Pandas. Morris, thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, so the Global Baseball Series. I tried to just explain it in a succinct
You
fashion.
did perfect. I don't need that. I need to be here today. That sounds great. Better than me.
Well, good. That's good to hear, because I was trying to think about how I can say that in a succinct fashion, all these moving parts. But to put it mildly, it's a unique event and a lot of coordination. And I know you were involved heavily in making this happen, and you are a native of Japan yourself. So how did you get this idea, or how did the idea come about, and how did you start working toward it, an event like this?
Right. It's like a Steve Jobs connecting the dots. I mean, that's how I can say based on my background or why I have came up with this idea. The first of all, when I was even like 15 years ago, I was working with the Lehigh Valley Olympics, which is the minor league baseball team in Pennsylvania. So, the actually Trash Pandas has the multiple Lehigh Valley Olympics mafia, I can say. There's a two actually top of our team, Garrett and Lindsay. Those two, executives are from there. So that's why I had an opportunity to, come here in the States and work with the Trash Pandas. And the second of all, I had when I was in even like 2010s, I was in Japan working with the Toyota's basketball team. Toyota-owned basketball team, which is the Toyota Alvac Tokyo, which is a professional team, but like most of the company share is owned by Toyota. So I had a good relationship with the Toyota Motor manufacturing in Tokyo. So then after that, I changed my job and then started to work with the IT company in Japan. And then that company hosted NBA Japan games 2019 and 22. So that's why I changed my company, my work to start work with the cause Rakuten. The company is actually probably the top sponsor of the Golden State Warriors. A US branch is. So since then, I work with the Rakuten in Japan, then heavily work with the NBA as well as the NBA Japan games. Then I came here. I was thinking what I can do something here because our baseball field is Toyota field, and then North Alabama has the huge factory of the Toyota motor manufacturing called Toyota Alabama. So obviously our relationship with the Toyota Alabama is great, and also I have a relationship with the Toyota in Japan. Then I knew that baseball team is there, and then industrial league, which is actually a kind of the minor league baseball in terms of level. Obviously, they are not professional, but like their level is very, very high. I watched multiple games, like a national tournament, and actually two of them became the Samurai Japan, which is the national team. Actually, one of them is also selected for the 2026 WBC. His name is Sosuke Genda. So he is going to come to the United States, hopefully, if Japan advances to the final stage. So the level of the Toyota Red Cruisers I believe it's pretty high, even though they are the full-time employee of the Toyota. Right.
Yeah.
Those kind of dots are connected together, and then I wanted to bring something to the community, and then make some memorable experience here. So.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. So you had those pre-existing relationships with Toyota, then you end up working for a minor league team in the States that plays at Toyota Field of all places. And I think that's important. What you just said is that the Red Cruisers, they're not just like a company team of a bunch of coworkers who get together after work and play a casual
Oh,
game.
that
They are
they are like
serious,
everybody
serious.
played high school super high level,
Yeah.
college is super high level. They just missed the professional level. That's
Mhm.
why they still want to play and they want to keep up with the high level. Then there's a lot of opportunity they can go to the professional level.
Yeah, and then
Right.
once there's a lot of moving parts, and you explained it
hmm
well, like all these different connections that led to this event. Then how did it really become a reality? I guess you have to start by pitching the idea among your Trash
Right.
Panda colleagues and to the
Sure,
leadership of
sure.
the organization. Is what's going to be happening, starting on March 30th, pretty
Mm.
similar to the idea you had, or did it change along the way?
I think this is even better than what I was thinking because we involve the local universities, which I was not thinking about it. So obviously we are not the major league team, but like this is a market, and then obviously a lot of people do not know. Even I think it's most of the people do not know who the recruiters are.
Mhm.
It's better to involve the local, communities, meaning like local universities. That helps a lot to even promote the series. And then also, I think that's going to be great opportunity for the college athletes to play with not only red cruisers but also trash pandas. They are like pretty much professional level, so they may be able to see how good they are and how even they may feel, oh, I want to try to the for the draft or like a higher level. So those kind of experience for their lifetime experience, I believe. And then Joe Cruzo from our new manager, he was mentioning when he was I think minor league team in Toledo, he has a similar experience. So that still he remembers, even though he's already manager. So I do believe this opportunity for great for the athlete as well as even every college people who are involved in this event.
Yeah, and that's a lot of people to coordinate. You have the Red Cruisers and Toyota.
hmm
I imagine you're coordinating with people from Toyota in the US, the naming rights partners, the two colleges that will be involved with this event, the Angels farm system, because the Trash
Right,
Pandas to agree to play in that game,
right,
uh,
that's
y-
true.
your own front office staff.
Yeah, like Garrett is actually that he coordinated a lot of the Toyota side. I mainly did it, but like Angels, that's his main pipeline. Garrett, our GM, spent a lot of time, and then obviously I believe he has a great relationship with the Angels. That's why they had a finally decided they give us a green light to play. And also, he has a great relationship with the local universities, UAH and Alabama A&M. So without his support, it wouldn't happen, I believe. So at the same time, at Toyota Alabama, they trusted us very, very much. And also one of the key person who works with the Toyota Alabama, he has a great relationship with the Toyota headquarters in Japan. I mean, that's why those kind of, I can say it's kind of lucky that
Mhm.
we had this opportunity. And then I'm very, very excited to have this event upcoming spring.
Yeah, and have the Toyota Red Cruisers or Japanese industrial teams in general, do they do
Mhm.
much of this kind of international travel, or is this pretty unique in that?
I think it's very, very unique. Based on my search, they went to Arizona 2023, I believe. Like they participated in spring training they had the opportunity to play against the kind of minor league level of the um, some teams in Arizona. Also, they have watched to multiple games in Arizona. So those type of things they have done. However, obviously, it's like 30 to 40 people coming to the States is not quite, it's going to be expensive.
Yeah.
So I believe, there's a like, I think I had this 90 industrial team in Japan. And Toyota is the one of the best. Obviously, they have a great facility, own facility. They have indoor practice facility. They have own field, so they have a super high level. But at the same time, this type of opportunity, I don't think they do every year. I saw they went to like Taiwan to play some exhibition games, but I've never seen that they have done, or even other industrial team had done this type of event, more like a official exhibition game.
And just because I find this interesting, and I'm not familiar with these Japanese industrial teams, what other companies, the Toyota Red Cruiser is an example of one of the really good industrial league teams in Japan. What other companies, are perennial, contenders and powerhouses in this?
It's like if you know the name of the like a Japanese brand, especially the car industry, like a Honda
Uh-huh.
is like a big competitor of the obviously the industry wise. Honda is a car manufacturing company, so the competitor of the Toyota. But at the same time, in terms of baseball, they have their own team, and then like a railroad company or like a electricity company, it's like a giant company. They have baseball team. That's their icon.
Yeah, it's in a whole interesting world, and I
Hmm.
don't think there's anything in America that really,
Yeah, it's quite different from United States.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
for sure.
unique.
So there's a lot of, educational components around, an event
Hmm.
like this, just because
Right.
people might not know the context of the Toyota Red Cruisers and why they're playing a college and why they're playing a minor league team. And so what can fans expect at the ballpark? Obviously, they're just going to be excited to come back out to the ballpark with the regular season starting very
Right.
soon after
Hmm.
the Global Baseball Series. But will it be special, elements or activations for this 3 games that make it unique?
At this point, we are still planning it. However, I am so excited to see how they play, meaning in terms of the Red Cruisers, it's a totally different style of the baseball.
Mhm.
So how to, if we even see the bench, which is different from American style, and then how they, cheer, people who sit on the bench, they cheer players, and those are the different from the United States style. So those thing I believe is going to be very, very interesting. Then hopefully we can involve some cheering, entertainment that is more like a Japanese style. But obviously we don't know what we can do yet. But like entertainment wise, how to play or hopefully food and drinks. But like I don't know how much I can say here because I don't know how much we can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So stay tuned, in other
Yeah,
words.
stay tuned. That's the best way to say. But like
Yeah.
I definitely put everything I can do to, memorable and unforgettable experience here. So that's kind of my baby, I can say.
Yeah.
I put everything here. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
a Japanese pride, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Hmm.
you talked a little bit in the at the beginning of this interview about your career path and how you worked in Lehigh Valley and got to know Garrett and Lindsay, who now work for the Trash Pandas.
Hmm.
But what first got you interested and aware, as someone from Japan, what got you interested and aware of minor league baseball and led you on the path to eventually, come to America and work for a
All right.
minor league baseball team?
I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know how much you can use here, but I'm a basketball person. I
Hmm.
prefer, I love basketball.
Hmm.
That's why I wanted to come to the United States to learn about basketball business, sports business. But when I tried to, come to the States, basketball team is much less than baseball teams.
Hmm.
And also there's not only the number of team, but also people's image that Japanese equal maybe baseball, not the basketball. And I have a lot of, not a lot, but a few of the Japanese people who already work with the minor league baseball team in the States. So I contacted them how they, started their internship or some stuff. But like there's no person who works for the basketball team.
Mhm.
That's why I needed to come here. But baseball is probably the best way to go into the sports industry in the States. That's why I chose baseball. And then luckily I have a Lehigh Valley, which is only one team I got opportunity out of 300 and 200, resume.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. You got your shot in minor league baseball.
Yeah.
Well, then, speaking of basketball, I'll close with this. I was just looking at your bio on your Rocket City Trash Pandas
Mhm.
staff page, and it mentioned that you had dribbled a basketball 230 miles, and that was part of a fundraising activity. Could you
Right,
explain a little bit
exactly.
about that? Because that's a lot of commitment, and I'm sure an intense
Right.
experience.
Yeah, actually, I did a multiple dribbling challenge, and then 230 miles in 12 days is the one of them. And then in 2011, no, 2010, I think in 2010, Japan had a huge earthquake
Mhm.
happen. That at that time, I was in the States. So I couldn't do anything. Obviously, if I were in Japan, I cannot do anything. But like I was in the States, and then Japan faced a lot of big struggle. So when I came back to Japan in 2012, I wanted to do something for the those area which faced a lot of tsunami or like a earthquake victim. So I came up with the idea that if I dribble basketball from Tokyo to Sendai, which is Sendai faced huge tsunami. So there's also the basketball team in Sendai. So Sendai, if I can raise money for them, that they can purchase basketballs for the local schools. They have been doing that type of charity program already. So I was thinking, oh, I can donate money to that program that helps to the community. But at the same time, I knew if I dribble that type of long distance, I already knew that because I had experience of dribbling 300 miles in 14 days, 15 days. So that experience, I knew I can encourage a lot of people. At the same time, I can get encouraged too from people if I dribbling when I'm dribbling.
Yeah, you
So
giving
yeah, the kind of
give encouragement.
exchange, we encourage each other.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
So
Um,
I knew if we did it for the charity, I'm sure I can learn so many from the people that I'm sure I can give the energy to people who watch me or see me on the news or stuff like that. Because obviously so many people are depressed or tired through the earthquake or tsunami. So, right.
Yeah, it's a creative initiative on behalf of a good cause. You see, a lot of that throughout minor league baseball, and it's great to see it really anywhere you see it.
Right.
And it's good to have these kind of ideas, in the world of minor league baseball and people being creative, like the Global
Hmm.
Baseball Series. So looking forward to seeing how that all, how all that goes when it takes place March 30th through April 1st, the
Yeah.
Global Baseball Series at Toyota
Thanks so much.
Field. And Morris, thanks so much for joining us here on the podcast.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
LinkedIn is pretty great at a lot of things, like helping you tap into the latest trends and insights in your field. We cannot stop your coworker from tapping her pencil. LinkedIn can help you find new jobs that align with your career goals. We cannot help you find the source of that weird smell in the office fridge. Ew. And while we can't stop your coworkers from bringing their hobbies into the office, LinkedIn can help you bring your career to the next level. LinkedIn is the network that works for you.
Well, good stuff from Benjamin Hill as always, and great stuff from Morris Morioka. What a cool, what a cool guy to listen to. What an awesome story. I'm always so fascinated by folks who end up working in minor league baseball. from other places around the globe. And the inverse of that, I actually, in Japan a few years ago, met an American kid who was working for the Hiroshima Carp in Nippon Professional Baseball. And I just think it's so cool when baseball leads people on those pathways. So big thanks to Morris for joining the show. And with that, we will pivot. We'll talk about some on-field stuff for the approaching 2026 season. And of course, up first is the brand new top 100 for 2026 from MLB Pipeline. Sam Dykstra, the authority on all things top 100. Sam, give us the overview of this newly minted century group of prospects heading into 2026.
Yeah. As we've talked about the last few weeks building up to this, we've done some breakdowns of the top 10 positional groups, by right-handed pitchers, left-handed pitchers, outfielders, shortstops, catchers, first base, second base, shortstop, third base, moving all around. Like, it's all been building up to this, right? And some of that we've already broken down. I've talked about why we went with Nolan McLean over Trey Savage, even though Trey Savage looked like one of the best pitchers on the planet during Toronto's postseason run last year. Why even Bubba Chandler snuck past him on our pitching list. But then I also hinted about this, I think it was last week. If you look at our shortstop group, if you thought like, hey, this looks like a top 5 overall, that was absolutely correct. Connor Griffin checks in at number 1 overall on our top 100. Consensus across the industry between the executive poll that Jonathan Mayo does every year and just seeing him run away with that. Hearing the feedback that we got for this, there was one executive that was like, Connor Griffin's too low, which was hilarious. Obviously, literally nowhere else for him to go. But he's a number 1 with a bullet on this list. Number 2 is Kevin McGonigal, somebody who I think could have been number 1 in a lot of other years. For me, he's the best hitting prospect of the 2020s. Just absolutely everything is geared for him to hit. It's hard hit. It's really good discipline, really good swing decisions. He's geared to pull the ball, lift the ball, do everything you want, but he can slap it the other way and do that for extra bases too. I mean, it's just really exceptional hit tool for Kevin McGonigal. Number 3 is Jesus Made from the Milwaukee Brewers, somebody with an absolute rocket attached to his name, somebody who we put on the top 100 last year coming off the Dominican Summer League. How did he follow that up? Well, he reached AA before his 19th birthday. He's very much on the Jackson Chourio track. Jackson Chourio did not make his major league debut after reaching AA as quickly as Made did. I think Made could maybe sniff out an opportunity come September. We'll see. That's putting a lot of expectations on somebody who's only just cracked AA. And like I said, is still 18 as we speak here today. Number 4 is Leo DeVries of the Athletics organization, the big acquisition last year at the trade deadline, them getting him from the Padres in the Mason Miller deal. He checks in at number 4. Number 5 is JJ Weatherholt, the infielder. He's technically on our shortstop list. A lot of debate of, is he a future third baseman? Is he a future second baseman? The Cardinals are trying to get him a spot on the opening day roster. They are making moves, obviously, with the Nolan Arenado trade. Third base is now more wide open than it was for JJ Weatherholt to be the opening day guy there. Brendan Donovan's still very much on the trade market. Maybe he ends up at second base if they can pull that off and they get the package that they're looking for there. But JJ Weatherholt is a bat they very, very much like. Right. I won't say he's right there with Kevin McGonigal, but kind of similar deal. Above average power, really good swing decisions. Everything's kind of taken off there for JJ Weatherholt. Just to round out the top 5, the aforementioned Nolan McLean, our top pitcher on the board. He comes in at number 6, right-hander from the Mets. Number 7 is Sebastian Walcott, shortstop / third baseman for the Texas Rangers. He's actually the only Ranger on this list, but that's a high one to have in the Texas organization. Number 8, Samuel Basayo, catcher / first baseman for the Baltimore Orioles. Number 9, Colt Emerson, shortstop for the Seattle Mariners. I think he's a sneaky pick to maybe make the opening day roster for the Mariners. We'll see what they do at third base. I don't think he's going to jump over JP Crawford, but third base is kind of open. If they don't go out and re-sign Eugenio Suarez, Colt Emerson could very much hit his way through Peoria and onto that opening day roster, especially now that he is eligible for a PPI pick, prospect promotion incentive pick for the Mariners. Were he to win Rookie of the Year this year, I think he has the bat to at least be in the discussion for that. And then number 10 is Max Clark, outfielder with the Detroit Tigers. So the Tigers, the only team with 2 prospects in our top 10 in McGonigal and Clark, both of those guys could be impact players for the Tigers. I think Magano will be in the opening day conversation for Detroit. I think Clark's just a half step behind that. But somebody who the biggest question for him coming out of the draft a few years back, can he get to average power? We started to see that a lot better in 2025. And now he's easily a top 10 prospect and somebody who I think could be a Pete Crow Armstrong with a touch less defense, but better swing decisions. And we'll see if he's going to get to as much power as PCA has shown, but like the slide bars are a little bit different, but it's still plus defense, really strong throwing arm, really good speed. And if he's not as swinging as wildly as PCA, I mean, I think there's a lot of value there for Max Clark. So that's our top 10. Tyler, as you're perusing through this, what questions do you have for me or what stands out most to you?
So I have many. I made a list. My first question to you is, and this is always one of the most entertaining questions that we get to discuss. What were the biggest debates? Or the like placing somebody on a certain tier who maybe somebody else regarded higher or not quite as high? Or what were the things that really stuck out as like, oh, these are to borrow a word that I just said, these are sticking points in these rankings?
Yeah, I think one that sticks out immediately to me is Ethan Holiday. And I know I'm preaching to the choir a little bit with my audience on the other side of this microphone right now, but Ethan Holiday, the 4th overall pick last year, seen by many as the top prospect going into the 2025 draft. There were some concerns based off what he showed on the showcase in terms of swing and miss. How is that going to translate? And the Rockies, after selecting him, pushed him out to single A Fresno, which was aggressive. But still, they like the talent enough. They certainly like the power enough. And then you saw significant swing and miss for Ethan Holiday in the California League. When we were doing this list, he ranks a little bit higher than where he ended up landing. And a lot of the feedback was you got to drop him a peg. Sometimes people were pretty wild about how much to drop him. Sometimes it was like, well, how hard can you really get on a young player who has he was 18 at the time of the draft. He's turning 19 next month in February. There's a long pause between your high school season, the draft, and then you get shoved out to not complex ball, but single A ball, in which you're going up against some guys who are really warmed up, did not have that ramp down period, but are also in their early 20s at times. So it can be a difficult evaluation. We're still buying into the power potential for Ethan Holiday here. It's 65 grade is what we gave him. It's a strong arm. If he needs to move to third base eventually, he's bigger than his brother Jackson. He can handle that well enough. Hopefully, with his dad, with his brother, this is a group that really hammers down on improving with the stick. And I don't think he's somebody who is going to be able to be like, oh, well, I can live with some swing and miss. Like I know going back to their barn in Oklahoma, that's been a real sticking point trying to improve that. He's gotten exposed to what full season pitching can be. If it clicks, he's a top 10 prospect in the game. If it doesn't and the bottom falls out and we're looking at these same, whiff issues in the 30-40% against a lot of pitch types early on in his return to Fresno, he's dropping 50 places. So right now we have him pegged at 24, but that was a major debate for us. Another name I'll throw out here from the top 50 that was kind of interesting was Chase DeLauter of the Cleveland Guardians. Chase DeLauter, you might remember from his technical MLB debut, was in the postseason. But he's really struggled with injuries throughout his career. His career high for games played in a single season is 57. A lot of these are kind of unrelated. It's a lot of foot issues. Last year, he had core muscle surgery, which isn't related to the foot, but he's broken his left foot. He re-injured it. He had to get surgery on it. He broke it again in April 2024. So if he's on the field enough, like it's plus hit, plus power, really good arm, can play center field, that's top 20, top 15 in the game. He's up there with like the Carson Benjes of the world. But we just haven't seen it out there significantly. The problem is he might make the opening day roster. Like you are trusting him to make postseason starts. He's absolutely in the conversation. And we might not get that question answer of like, how can he look when he's fully healthy until after he's well graduated. So that was a balancing act for us for sure. So those are two names we debated a lot here in the top 50. And everybody we touched on at some point. We all, me, Jim Callis, Jonathan Mayo, we come up with our own top 125s. We put those together. We send it out for feedback. We bang them up and down. We have our own debates as we're getting other industry chatter. It's such a fun process. It's a collaborative process, and it's far from perfect. We're never going to get the perfect list. I say this all the time. There's not a golden list that we can go out there and get, but the debates are certainly fun ones.
Okay, next up on this list, who were some of the biggest risers? This is always one of my favorite things to see from year to year is, a guy who started at the back end of the top 100 who all of a sudden is top 20, top 10, or somebody who came completely off the radar, was not ranked at all, who jumps into a middle spot in the top 100. Who stands out among guys like that?
Yeah, one I'll throw out there was last week's guest was Carter Jensen, right? Like we saw him.
Yeah, really good one.
He was pretty well ranked at the end of last year, but he's now number 18 in the game. And I think there are some people who think he could be a better catching prospect than Samuel Basayo. The power really showed up in the major leagues. It really showed up at AAA before then. And everything is kind of clicking here. And I think he can be an average receiver. You heard it in that interview last week of he's somebody who really strives on the defensive side. The Royals have done a tremendous job of keeping him healthy despite playing catcher. So many of these guys we've seen break down because there's just so much demanded of catchers over the years. The fact that he's been able to post like he has, the fact that you can see how the offense has climbed. We have him at 18 right now. I think if the defense was a little bit better, he would maybe be a top 5 prospect in the game. But he's somebody who certainly has a lot of momentum and will be graduating pretty quickly into 2026. As he said last week, we'll see what that role is going to be with Salvador Perez on the roster. And him being a Kansas City guy, he's certainly going to be deferential for like, how do we make this work? But he's certainly somebody who I think will be a number 1 option and a rookie of the year candidate coming into this year. Sal Stewart, kind of similar. All the markers that he showed in the majors were really good for a guy who can hit. We've always thought he could be maybe a hit over power type, but he slugged 545 in 18 games with 5 homers, and the exit velocity data was there and the swing decisions were there. And like, there's just so much good happening for Sal Stewart. Yeah, I question where he's going to land defensively, and we put him on the first base list because it seems like that's where the Reds are going to stick him. He's played some second base. He's played some third base. If you put him at first, then you don't have to worry about the defense so much. Just let the guy mash. And I think he's a sneaky rookie of the year candidate here as well. Somebody who we didn't have on the top 100 at the end of last year, but got a lot of support, and we kept pushing higher and higher and higher, was Connolly Early of the Boston Red Sox. He lands at number 56 on our list now, which is actually where he debuts on the top 100. Never been on the top 100 before. He was actually a guest on this show last year, so I encourage people to go look back on that. And at the time, I was talking to him about, like, you're somebody who has an okay fastball, but you're in an organization that you don't need a standout four-seamer because the Red Sox will just tell you, hey, throw your other stuff. We're not going to tell you establish the fastball. If okay and your other stuff is really good, throw the other stuff. Well, guess what? He improved the velocity on the fastball. It's now around 92 to 95. It was around 90 miles an hour back in college at Virginia. It touches 97. It's got pretty good carry on it. He also has a curveball. The slider earns above average grades. The changeup is really good. And I think it was telling at the end of last year when the Red Sox were trying to figure out their rotation. They had Peyton Toley up. Peyton Toley is a top 20 prospect for us because the extension is great and the fastball is already one of the best in the major leagues. But Early was the guy they gave starting opportunities to. And I think that's something that came up in feedback a lot is like, hey, if you're going to rank Toley this aggressively, the Red Sox clearly value Early similarly or just a step below. So Early needs to make a significant jump here. It's a deep arsenal. It's a good arsenal. There's enough control here. I know he's talked about wanting to add even more velocity and a little bit more weight because the Red Sox really love just big burly lefties. It's already 6'3". Maybe something that can hold that velocity a little bit longer, but a lot to like here for Connolly Early. And he's somebody with significant momentum and will be in that discussion for the number 5 spot, along with Toley, along with Johan Oviedo, along with Kyle Harrison. It's going to be a fun race down in Fort Myers for who can win a starting job out of spring.
All right, Sam, related to that question, who are some names that people should keep an eye on as far as like big climbers in 2026? Somebody who maybe just missed the top 100 but could make the jump this year, could be very much firmly in that conversation.
Yeah, we'll stick to some guys who are on the top 100 that I'm really intrigued by, but they're at the bottom of the list here, who I think could make significant jumps. Joshua Baez at number 87. He was somebody who's already made a significant jump, right? I could have used him as my example in the last question. He was off the Cardinals' top 30 completely going into 2025 because he was a second round pick in 2021. Everybody knew about the power, but just had a lot of strikeout concerns and was whiffing left and right. The Cardinals really had to put a plan into place for like, hey, you have to figure this out because you are Rule 5 eligible coming up. And if you don't make contact, you're not going to make that 40-man roster. You're not going to go very far in this organization. To his credit, if you look at some side-by-side video, it is a much less noisy swing for Joshua Baez. He's much more direct to the ball. It allows him to play into his plus power a lot better. He stands 6'3", 220 pounds. Last year, with those changes, he hit 20 homers, which was almost double his previous career high. Between high A Peoria and double A Springfield, he had a 287, 384, 500 line. Had those 20 homers, got on base enough to steal 54 bags. I think he's closer to an average runner than that, let's say a plus runner, but he picks his spots really well. His whiff rate dropped from 39% to a much more manageable 27%. And I could easily see him hitting 30 plus homers down the line if this continues. Now it has to continue. If you looked at just last year and didn't see any of the noise from earlier in his career, this is a top 50 guy. But we can't just isolate that. We've seen how it can go bad for Joshua Baez. Is he going to fall down that trap again? He's going to go to AAA Memphis to start out 2026. What happens when he goes to AAA, we'll see. That's much more of a hitter-friendly level than it used to be. We'll see how it goes. It could fall off now that he's going to have, people are going to know his name in the middle of that lineup, and they're going to either pitch around him or really gear themselves up to face him. How does he respond back? If it's a carbon copy of last year, then he's going to make a significant jump here and probably debut with the Cardinals by the All-Star break. So keep an eye out for Joshua Baez. And one other name that came up a lot that I'm fascinated by is Dax Kilby with the New York Yankees. He was the 39th overall pick in last year's draft. So not somebody who was a big name going into that process. Then they sent him out to single A Tampa, and the metrics were exceptional. He batted 353, 457, 441, only 18 games. So don't get like too wrapped up in that. Walked more than he struck out, 13 walks, 11 strikeouts, and he stole 16 bags. So he's got the running ability, but he also showed really good hit ability as well. The swing decisions were great, doesn't miss fastballs, can hit the balls gap to gap. It might just be average power, but he was one of those pop-up prospects after the draft, somebody who can get onto the top 100 right now at 94. And if he repeats that at Florida in the Florida State League, I wonder at some point, given what George Lombard Jr. has been in that same system where we've seen the bat fluctuate for him, if Kilby looks like a much steadier presence in the box and he's left-handed as opposed to Lombard who's right-handed, I think that's going to be an interesting debate come May, June, who is the better shortstop prospect. Right now, we have it as Lombard. He's made the upper minors. He's a really good defender at a premium position, whereas Kilby has more questions about that side of his game. But that's going to be one to watch obviously things are not going the way the Yankees would have hoped for Anthony Volpe. I'm not saying put Dax Kilby on the fast track to the Bronx by any means. But they have a couple of really promising guys coming up at that position. And maybe you don't need to rely on Volpe to be that homegrown guy. Maybe one of those two guys sees the opportunity instead.
All right, Sam, I got one more for you. I do want to point out what a great name Dax Kilby is just as a name, and it might be the best name on the top 100, if not for a guy who was 6 spots ahead of him in Cruz Schoolcraft. Cruz with a K, who's a lefty in the Padres organization and was a first-round pick last year, 25th overall. That's not the question. The question is, and I just thought of this one, and I'm kind of excited about it, and I'm interested to get your take. We have seen, maybe not in recent years with the Los Angeles Dodgers, but we have seen so much over the last decade, 2 decades in Major League Baseball. Teams reach the World Series, they win the World Series, built around core groups of players that they have developed. You know, you could talk about the Blue Jays in that way, obviously. So many teams who have been big time factors in baseball in the playoffs in recent years. The Brewers come to mind, the Guardians are always in that conversation. Of the teams that right now have the best core groups of prospects, who is most likely to celebrate winning a World Series as members of that organization? Because you look at, obviously there are a lot of things to be excited about if you're a Pirates fan with Connor Griffin and the rest, Bubba Chandler coming up and all that. I don't know how much the Pirates are going to do to supplement that at the major league level. But the Detroit Tigers, a team that's got a lot of talent, has been really successful over the last couple of years. You get Kevin McGonigal to the big leagues, you get Max Clark to the big leagues. Is that a team that builds a title winner around this core? Who else is in that conversation for you? The Seattle Mariners are another one that's very obviously in that discussion. Who else is in that conversation?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on a lot of heads there. Because honestly, I'm not going to predict a Pirates World Series win. I'm not going to stake my reputation on that.
Yeah, sorry, Pirates fans.
No, but let me.
It would be cool. It would be awesome. Pirates fans are amazing. PNC Park's incredible. Pittsburgh deserves it. But gesturing at reasons.
Yeah, but they have made some interesting moves.
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
They have went out and gotten Ryan O'Hearn, and you've probably heard that it's been a running joke on social media. The Pirates were in the mix, but fell short. Like that, I'm sure that's happened a lot. Ryan O'Hearn is a nice player to get. He is not a franchise cornerstone.
He's not Kyle Schwarber.
He's not Kyle Schwarber. They get Brandon Lau from the Tampa Bay Rays, right? Like that is improving your lineup. And if you have Connor Griffin is the superstar that was promised for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Yeah. I think if you throw him in the mix with this Paul Skeens window, and they have to compete in this Paul Skeens window, right? Like they cannot let Paul Skeens just flail and like maybe with a year to go in free agency, everything starts clicking. They need to make the most of this opportunity now with Bubba Chandler, major league ready now, with Jared Jones coming off an injury. But like that's a pretty good middle starting rotation that they're going to have. I think Connor Griffin could certainly, I'm not going to say get them over the hump, but makes them a significantly more interesting team and gives them the true star that they have wanted in the middle of that lineup.
I like
somebody you build around for multiple years. So there's reasons to be excited if you're a Pittsburgh Pirates fan. I think in terms of who is going to be celebrating because of the core that they have, I'm still waiting for the Brewers to break through, right?
Okay.
Like they keep the wheel on turning, and we talked about this last week with the Freddie Peralta deal, going out and getting Jet Williams and Brandon Sproat. Jet Williams especially, Mike
Jet
Puma shared this quote. Jet with two T's shared this quote from Pat Murphy. That was Milwaukee is spending its money this offseason by lowering the soap dispensers because Jet Williams is 5'5". Now, officially, he is 5'7", but he fits that mold perfectly of like
the Diego Pavia.
Sure. Yeah. The Vanderbilt quarterback, for anybody who doesn't know.
Yeah, for anybody. Yeah, I guess we probably should have.
And Senior Bowl, and just find some interesting content on that. But the Brewers love their short guys who can run, who are grinders, who are going to find ways to contribute. Plugging Jet Williams into that team makes a lot of sense. They had a really good core of prospects before that trade. Jesus Made, as I mentioned, number 3 in the system. Luis Pena, who I think gets lost in the shuffle a little bit, number 26 infielder who was following Made up the chain and then fell off a little bit at high A. He was 18 years old. It's fine. He's going to be a good player. And then Cooper Pratt, who's the best shortstop defender of anybody they have in the system, who was already at AA last year, probably opening up this year at AAA Nashville and knocking on the door himself. They have a really good core group here, and that's to say nothing of like Bishop Lepson, Josh Adamchevsky, Marco Dinges, like Logan Henderson, who's somebody who should compete for a major league job. They have this really enviable depth of prospects, and they have that top group as well. I don't think this group is going to necessarily push the Brewers to the forefront this year, but they're going to keep buying tickets to the dance. And as we've seen, sometimes that's all it takes. Like, I hate to say the postseason is a crapshoot because it's so much more than that, in my opinion. But if you have depth, that's how you sometimes win series. And if you have true stars, and I think Jackson Churrio's on the precipice of becoming a true star, and I certainly believe Jesus Made can be a star for them moving forward at some point. I'll throw the Brewers into that for sure. And I'll also say, right now, yes, the Mets just pulled off a trade and they traded away two of their guys. They are not hugging their prospects, except for guys like Nolan McLean and Carson Bench. Those are two guys I don't think they want to trade away. Nolan McLean, absolutely not, unless it's, I don't even know if they would trade him for Tarek Skubal, to be honest with you, because he's controllable. They're going to have him for a while, and he looked like their ace down the stretch. And that's somebody they can plug into their number 2 spot. Now he's behind Freddie Peralta. He doesn't have that pressure of being a genuine number 1. But I think it could really, really work for Nolan McLean. You put him in this year for a full year, make sure he's healthy for the full year. That's going to be huge for the Mets. Having Carson Benj, they've been talked about with some outfielders. They make some moves to address that group. But Carson Benj, as it sits right now, is probably their opening day left fielder over a Brett Beatty, who has been with the team for a few years, but that would be sort of a brand new position for him. He's traditionally a third baseman, but with Bo Bichette now in the mix, Brett Beatty's getting kicked to left field, but Carson Benj, everything's above average across the board. I think he could be a really, really good defender in left field. He's above average in center. He could be really good in left. And, the Mets right now, like normally teams like that, historically, we've talked about them going out and signing players or going out and trading players, and they are doing that to some degree. But having those two guys knocking on the door already, and I didn't even mention the name Jonah Tong, right? Like Jonah Tong is somebody who should be in the rotation mix if he can improve the breaking balls. He's number 48 on our list. Like they have enviable depth. They have enviable top level guys. If the Mets finally break through, I think there are going to be some homegrown guys with a hand on that trophy for sure.
I like it. That's great stuff, as always, from Sam Dykstra and all the rest of our crew, Jonathan Mayo, Jim Callis, everybody else at MLB Pipeline. You can check out the top 100 prospects list there. All right, Sam, before we get out of here, last week after we recorded, the Texas Rangers acquired Mackenzie Gore from the Washington Nationals in exchange for a package of prospects. We're not going to go extremely in-depth into this, but this is a really good return for the Nats on this deal.
Yeah, this was a return that felt more quantity over quality. I will say.
I think it's a good way to put it.
You look at, they get 5 prospects who all move into their top 100. It's Gavin Fiend, or top 30, I should say. Gavin Fiend, who was a first-round pick last year. He's the 12th overall pick to the Rangers. He's now with the Nationals. Alejandro Rosario, who we're still awaiting him officially undergoing Tommy John surgery. He needed it last spring, and that actually knocked him off our top 100. And then had a separate issue that the Rangers weren't talking about, the Nationals haven't disclosed, but it has held him from getting that Tommy John. So he's going to be knocked out for 2026 as well. Devin Fitzgerald, I know he has a ton of fans after he did really well in the Complex League last year and held his own in his first full season at Single A. So those are 3 top 12 prospects right now for the Nats. Yeremy Cabrera has some interesting traits. He's an above average runner. It could be pretty good in center field. How is the bat going to come around? We'll see. He's only 20. He'll turn 21 in July. And then Abimelec Ortiz, first baseman / outfielder, somebody on the 40-man roster, an absolute bopper. Some exciting exit velocities in there. He's coming off a 25 homer season. He hit 33 bombs in the Ranger system just 2 years ago. So somebody who could be a first base option for the Nats. There's nobody here that's automatically top 100. Fiend might be in that discussion at some point this year. We'll see how it goes. I think it's an interesting combination for him and Eli Willits, both in the same draft class, both potential shortstops. Willits is the guy you stick at short. I wouldn't be shocked if both those guys go to Single A and you see Fiend 4 days of the week at third base instead. There's even some questions of like, would he have to slide over to first base down the line? It's an interesting right-handed swing. It's pretty quick. There's some thump in that bat. It's an unorthodox setup, but as he continues to add even more strength to his profile, maybe he gets the plus power down the line. We'll see how it goes. But an interesting group for the Nats. And right now, the Nats are just in talent acquisition mode, which I know is a weird thing to say about a team that's clearly selling, right? Like Mackenzie Gore would have been their top pitcher going into the year. They move him to Texas. but they're trying to build up this farm system to compete. A lot of their executives are coming from the Boston system that does a tremendous job of internal development, particularly on the pitching side in recent years, but also on the hitting side. We saw that with Roman Anthony, Marcelo Meyer, and Christian Campbell before it fell apart for Campbell last year. Getting Fiend into that group early, I think could be beneficial, and I'm excited to see what this new Nats regime does with these prospects, because I think they have big dreams for them in terms of increasing bat speed. That was a big thing the Red Sox did exceptionally well. Hitting the ball in the air more. That's another thing they improved with a lot of their prospects. What does that mean for Fiend? We'll see. He has to actually buy in. He has to do those changes himself. But maybe we're talking about him as a top 100 prospect just a couple months into the season, because he's at least on a short list as somebody we're keeping an eye on for that status. And, we'll see. Maybe even Devin Fitzgerald jumps in there if his 2025 progress carries into 2026 and he keeps on making some of those changes and improves his bat speed a little bit more. It's an exciting group. It's not Jet Williams and Brandon Sproat like the Brewers got for Freddie Peralta. Mackenzie Gore had a few extra years of control. He's not a guaranteed number one like Freddie Peralta is, but it just shows that there are many different types of trades that can happen out there, and it all comes down to what teams value. The Nats right now, they just want more talent in their system. They certainly got it with this trade.
Good stuff, as always, from our very own Samuel C. Dykstra. And coming up after the break, we will get set to wrap this thing up. We got an edition of Name That Dude, and we'll say goodbye on this week's episode of the Show Before the Show. Final segment of this week's episode of the Show Before the Show. Before we get out of here, it is time for this week's episode of Name That Dude. Sam Dykstra just, he's got the dude this week. He said, there's a chance you guys might get this one. So my hopes are not high. But Sam, the floor is yours.
Yeah, no, I think we'll see. We'll see. I've already tipped you guys off to how long this guy was in the major leagues, but I'll save that for our audience, for our normal reveal here. But this player was a 10th round pick of the Atlanta Braves in the year 1990, a terrific year, out of East Islip High School in New York. He was born in Amityville, New York. His
like the horror show?
Horror.
Yeah, home of the horror. Yeah.
Yeah. We all immediately jumped to Amityville.
That's some
horror.
brand recognition for the town of Amityville.
He did sign with the Braves, so this is not somebody who re-entered. In 1990, his age 18 season, started out the year with the Pulaski Braves. I always feel bad when we start out with a Braves minor leaguer because so many of these team names are just going to be town name Braves. But that is the case for this player. 1991, still at the rookie level, he goes to Idaho Falls in the Pioneer League. So he goes from the Appalachian League to the Pioneer League for 1991, 66 games with Idaho Falls that year.
Were they the Braves?
47. What?
Were they the Braves, the Idaho Falls team?
They were the Braves, yes.
Lame.
Yeah, Truckers came a bit later.
Yeah. 1991, age 19 season, batted .347 with an .887 OPS, 19 steals, 4 homers in those 66 games for the Idaho Falls Braves. 1992 with Macon in the South Atlantic League, again, Braves team, batted .240 that year. 1993.
Not to be confused with the former minor league hockey team in Macon, Georgia, that was known as the Macon Whoopie. And that is not a joke. You can look it up. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, now home to an indie league team, I believe. I forget the league. Is it Frontier League? Well, Macon Bacon.
Macon Bacon is also on the board. Lots happening in the town of Macon, Georgia. 1993, I think we spoke about this recently with another guy who we picked. Was with the Durham Bulls. Straight up, the Durham Bulls, as we all know and love them. But they were a high A affiliate in the Carolina League at the time. This guy's been moving up year by year. So 1994, he's with Greenville Braves in the Southern League. Bats .300 that year with a .797 OPS. 1995, he's with Richmond, the Richmond Braves. Only plays 50 games that year. 1996, back with Richmond, and he debuts with the Braves in 1996. He is with the Braves for 96, 97, 98. Then in 1999, goes to the Tampa Bay Devil Rays, actually goes back to Durham, but now is a AAA affiliate. Plays 87 games for the Durham Bulls in 1999. 2000, he's with the Devil Rays and the Chicago White Sox. 2001, 2002, 2003 with the Chicago White Sox. 2004, he's with the Kansas City Royals. and I don't. This might just be a very formative time for me. I think of him as a Royal, but you guys may differ on that. 2004 with the Royals, 2005 with the Royals, and also moves to the Red Sox. 2006, he's with the Royals. I should actually look up which direction he went on that. He was with the Royals and the Red Sox in 2005. 2006, he's with the Royals and the Brewers. 2008, he's completely with AAA Buffalo in the Cleveland system.
Did he not play in 07?
07, he's with Milwaukee. Thank you.
Okay.
2007, he's with Milwaukee. 2008, completely with Buffalo. Only 25 games for Buffalo in the Cleveland system. 2009, with Columbus in the Cleveland system. Also gets in 7 games with the then Indians at the time in his age 37 season, and then does not play again after 2009. So on the major league side, debuted with the Braves in 1996. Last season was 2009 with Cleveland. Any guesses so far? It's a very wide-ranging career,
Man,
I will say.
White Sox, Devil Rays, Royals.
Why do I got nothing?
So in 2005, I just want to clear up this part because I said he was with the Royals, then went to the Red Sox, and then the next year he was back with the Royals. So July 2005, he's traded by the Royals to the Red Sox for Juan Cedeno and Chip Ambrose. Then he's granted free agency, re-signs with the Red Sox in January 2006. March 2006, he's selected off waivers by the Royals from the Red Sox.
The Royals
and then
couldn't quit
July
him.
2006, he's traded from the Royals to the Brewers for Jorge De La Rosa. So just a lot of transactions going on for this particular player.
Jorge
I
De
can
La
give
Rosa,
more hints.
Rockies legend.
If you guys need him.
Man,
Yeah.
I got nothing.
Yeah, I'm gonna need some more.
That's all fair.
There's somebody. I always think there is somebody yelling at their car right now. Somebody knows.
I don't think this one's that obvious. I will
No?
say. I do think he's gettable, but he is a utility infielder. Played a lot of second base early in his career, shifted around a good bit. Got some shortstop in there, got some first base in there, got some third base in there.
Trying to think of
Pretty
like
much
all
just
the
moved around.
most random, like mid to late 90s Atlanta dudes. But all of the guys who I'm thinking of are too old. Like I was thinking of like Mark Lemke. He's too old.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. I always go to that. Mark Lemke,
Yeah.
Jeff Blauser.
So if
Yeah,
you want to
Jeff
go by games
Blauser.
played,
Ron Gant.
maybe this will help a little bit to steer you in a certain direction. By games played, it was first with the White Sox at 291. Second was the Braves at
Interesting.
231. Third is the Royals with 203. And then fourth was the Brewers at 146. His highest WAR came with the White Sox, which was 5.7. His career WAR, according to Baseball Reference, is 15.1. So this guy was around a lot, just not again, perfect utility infielder, could move around, give you a little bit of something. His career OPS plus was 89. So not a bopper by any means.
Man, yeah.
This is
There's a
tough.
lot.
Are we gonna go 2 weeks in a row with nobody getting it?
Yeah.
I think you guys are not going to be as embarrassed as I was last week with Preston Wilson. I will say that. I don't know why this guy came to mind. I kind of have an idea why he came to mind. I'll share that in a second. But
I got nothing.
I'm struggling with this one. I was thinking like, okay, Braves to Devil Rays is not Fred McGriff. We know that.
Yeah, we're in a conference room, Sam and I, with a lot of baseball cards on the walls. I'm just looking at these baseball cards. There's the piece here somewhere. Carlos Baerga, there's a card.
there is a card. Speaking of former Cleveland infielders.
Yeah.
It's not Ryan Klesko. Thinking of other random
Ryan
90s
Klesko.
Braves because he was on the
No.
Padres. And
I don't think of this guy as like he was a Brave from
yeah, you'd think of him as a
97 to
Royal,
98.
huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like early
Again-
2000s AL Central, not my necessarily my area of expertise. Thinking about the
No,
White
that's fair.
Sox and the Royals in the early 2000s.
Yeah, just put us out of our misery.
Yeah, he played a couple games with the Braves in the 97 and 98 postseason. Actually did pretty well in the 98 NLCS against the Padres.
All right, give us his initials. Let's see if we can get him from initials.
Initials might be helpful. TG.
Tom Glavine.
Yes, Tom Glavine. That journeyman infielder, Tom Glavine. He was athletic enough. If he was a right-hander, I would say, you know what? I would have liked to have seen Tom Glavine as a journeyman infielder, but no, that's not it.
Tom Glavine, extremely good hockey goalie. TG. Terry.
Now I know they're
Terry.
No.
Gallipoli. Dang it. I got nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know who this is.
All right, I'll put you guys out of your misery here. It's Tony Graffinino.
Oh,
Man. Yeah, I would. You know, it's
Oh.
funny. As soon as you said that, I thought Royals. Yeah.
Yeah, and
yeah.
yeah, you are right about that.
So that's what
Yeah.
unlocked it in me was I was trying to think of like, well, what's been in the news lately? And
Yeah.
you know, there have been some trades which obviously we just talked about. And I don't want to do a top 100 prospect because that's obviously not a very long name that dude segment. So I thought back to Carlos Beltran and Ben when you went through his minor league career, and I was just like, who's a Royal that comes to mind? You know what? Tony Graffinino comes to mind for whatever reason. Let's go with Tony Graffinino.
That's so like the fact that that's a guy who played for many, many, many different teams, but we both, Ben, who do you think of when you think of Tony Graffinino? Do you think Royals also?
I do.
Yeah,
not
like that.
Not
that's
like
so
real
interesting.
strong, but that would be the cap that appears.
Yeah.
on his head.
If somebody were to have walked up to you this morning and said, who did Tony Graffinino play for? You would have said, I would have said Royals. But that definitely, I could feel, you know,
Then
the
I would
little,
have said, "Did you take your meds today?"
you would have said, what is making you think of Tony Graffinino on this Thursday morning in January? I
This
could
is just
feel
how my mind works. Okay.
the attendants who work in the archives in my brain, they had to go to like a weird filing cabinet and pull out Tony Graffinino. That is a name I had not thought of in years and years and years.
Well, you know,
That had
sometimes
been
I think
put-
we
that
try
had
to
been
go
put
for
way
forgettable
back.
names.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now it's just like here's actually a remember that dude. Or
Very much
like
a dude.
remember
Yeah,
a guy.
that is definitely
segment.
a guy to remember.
Even if we don't get it, which now we're 0 for 2 in back-to-back weeks, which doesn't make me feel great about, like you said, Tyler, the filing cabinets in our brain. It's still
Mine
a good
don't work
opportunity to think about these dudes and you know bring back some memories for maybe some Kansas City or Chicago White Sox or even Tampa Bay Devil Rays fans because he was a true Devil Ray. The team had not changed its name yet when he played there. So yeah, there you go, Tony Graffinino. This week's
Here's a fun fact according to his Wikipedia, so you know it's wrong. Graffinino was born Anthony Graffagnino, Graffagnino, but dropped the second G after numerous mispronunciations from minor league announcers. That's amazing. I wonder if he legally dropped it or if he if he just like going forward, you know, climbing up the system was like, can you just list my name without that second G? But that's kind of interesting. Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Tony
I mean, he had a son who was drafted by the Braves in the 8th round of the 2018 draft, and his name is, I mean, he's AJ, which I'm sure is Anthony Jr.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, his name is also spelled the same way. So I've been watching the Mel Brooks documentary. I don't know if you guys have been clued into that. Ben, we talked about it a little bit. But yeah, finding out like Mel Brooks, all his kids' names are Brooks, even though that was not his actual name. It was Kaminsky. And I'm always fascinated by that of like, yeah, your stage name is your stage name, but now it's your official name.
Yeah, now it's your
That is
actual
passed
name.
down through generations. Fascinating stuff.
It's kind of like George Foreman naming all of his kids George. It's not at all the same thing.
No, I don't.
It's
I
not
don't
at all.
quite get that one. But
Not
sure,
even close. Tony Graffinino, wherever you are this week's dude on Name That Dude. A higher honor I cannot conceive of. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Show Before the Show. I am going to go do some deep diving into Tony Graffinino now as a guy who I had really just very much forgotten about. But a perfect selection for Name That Dude. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Show Before the Show. You can get in touch with us again, as always, podcast@MILB.com. For Sam Dykstra, for Benjamin Hill, for all the rest, my name is Tyler Mon, for Tony Graffinino as well. We'll catch you next week.